Hi, and welcome to Turra Company, the mother-daughter podcast about everything. Our mission is to make herstory, aka history, not by going viral, but by doing something that has never been done before in our family. Whether we have 2 listeners or 2 million listeners, we are bringing you our very best, and hopefully we are learning and growing together in the process. Now let's enter into the Turra Company experience and create herstory, aka history together. Welcome to Turra Company. Guess what? It's continuation of the Love and Marriage series. So you know what that means. That means the girls are not here in the studio. That means it's just me and who are
Neal.
you? Yay! Let's do the claps. Neal, we got our own claps. We don't need your claps. We so excited. I gave him them claps because y'all don't know what it takes for me to get him in here. Y'all don't know. The people who know him know, but the people who don't know Neal don't know. But that's okay. He's in here, and that's all that matters. What's going on, company? Y'all doing all right? So many people have been looking forward to this series that is kind of giving me I'm kind of getting like anxiety about it a little bit because I want it to do well. When I do it with the girl, it's very different recording with you than it is with the girls, as it should be, but it is. Because when I'm in here with the girls, we laugh and we get it, we kiki. You bring a little bit of a seriousness to it. You bring a little bit of a, you're so stoic and you're quiet, and I'm doing most of the talking. It is my show, so bear with it, y'all. But because that's just your personality. You're just not that talkative. But that's okay, because we are going to do this thing. I'm going to stretch your comfort zone. You're going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and we're going to talk about marriage a little bit. So one of the things that I was saying before we hit record is that we have to think of this show, and this is why I wanted to do this show, if I haven't said this already in one of the previous episodes. The reason why this show is important to me is because there's people listening that are in all different seasons of marriage. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So if you're in the new stage, you can glean something. If you're in the mid stage, you can glean something. If you're in the older stage, it's all stages of marriage out there. So with that being said, let's get started with today's show, because Neal probably doesn't know. Well, he knows because he listens to the regular show. I don't like the lollygag, but we can lollygag a little bit. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh, he loves me, y'all. He loves me. I'm so excited. So we have to share this. I don't know if you're going to let me share it. If you don't want me to share it, I'll take it out. But recently we've been having a lot of little things come up, like Neal's birthday came up. We went to a wedding some months ago. And so we just been able to just take these little wonderful couples trips, right? And when I say couples, I'm saying us. The couple is us. It's not like other couples necessarily with us, but we've been taking these wonderful trips and just having some alone time, right?
Yes.
Even the kids were like, I don't know what got into you guys, but you guys been taking all these little trips and we like it. I like it too. Do you like it when we go away?
Yes, I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always nice to just get out of the house, especially since the girls are still here with us and they don't have to go. Everybody who knows us. Do they have to go, Neal?
They don't have to go, but they got to go.
What does that mean? What does that mean that they don't got to go, but they got to go? Explain that.
They got to go because I don't want to tell their business, but they got to go because...
But they tell their business on their show all the time. What you mean?
I want my house.
You want your house.
I want my house.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I told you just a little while ago, you're talking a lot of sound bites. So you'll say one thing, it should be we're not creating T-shirts or posters. we're talking. So the sound bites, you got to give me more. What do you mean you want your house? You just want to be in the house, just us two? You want an empty nester house?
Yes, I want an empty nester house.
So what about the grandkids? What happens when the grandkids come?
The grandkids can come.
I'm saying, what happens when they come? You won't be empty nester.
Right, but they come, but they go home.
Yeah, right. They going to go home?
Yeah.
If it's a boy, it's going to go home?
No, if it's a boy,
it's
different.
What? If it's a boy, what?
If it's a boy, that's different.
Okay, so for those of y'all who don't know.
Especially if they give them the correct name.
For those of y'all who do not know, Neal wanted boys really, really bad. And I only gave him 2 opportunities to get a boy. So you see what happened, Ariel and Chelsi. So he didn't get boys. So now he's like, because we're in Vegas, so he's hedging his bets to get a boy through the girls. And it's so crazy because he not only wants boys through the girls, he wants grandsons, but he wants one of them, he probably wants both of them. He wants them to name the son after him, which is it's kind of disrespectful to the dad, Neal.
No, it's not.
What if the dad wants his own junior?
That's fine. His first kid can have his name.
Well,
then the second or the third can be named Cornelius.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't think you've specified that. I thought you made it seem like that first boy, whatever it was going to be, you wanted it to be named that crazy name Cornelius. That's a crazy name to me, Neal. When you told me that was your name when we first met, I was like, oh, it just didn't sit good with me. I mean, my name probably didn't. What did you think about my name? Oh, it took you a long time to get to know, even say it.
That's probably the case.
What's my case? That it took you a long time to get to say it?
Yeah, but it was easy to spell, so.
So you didn't mind writing it?
I didn't mind writing it, yeah.
But what did you think when you first heard it? Were you like?
It just
was a name.
Yeah.
It just was a name.
Just was a name.
Yeah, not a lot of people have that.
Even thought to ask where it came from until I heard you tell
Where did it come from?
Your mama tried to mix the name.
Ooh. No, let's get it straight.
I thought she tried to mix your father's
She got it from
name.
my dad. She got it from my dad. She said my dad mentioned it one day.
Okay.
And then she was like, because, she was so like a daisical about it. She was like, when I came, she said, she was like, okay, I heard that name. Let me give it to her. Like, that's how she tells it. I'm sure it was more, I'm hoping it was more, more sympathetic or what? What do you call that word? My wordsmith ain't here. I'm hoping that it was more sentimental than just, oh, that's the name that I heard. Let me give it to her. But it did. Now, the question we would have to ask is, where did my dad get in? We won't be able to ask that because he's not here. But anyway, that's where that came from. My mom said she heard my dad say it.
Oh, okay.
And then when she had me, she wasn't really thinking of, well, she did have another name, but the name was taken. And so then it went to a Turra. So
after 30 years,
You still learning stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I always thought your mother tried to mix the name from Arthur.
No, you just thought that because his name was Arthur. So you probably thought Arthur or Turra. I never said that. I always say, if you do hear me say anything like that, I'll say my dad tried to name me after him because he's the one who gave my mother the name.
Okay.
So you might have heard me say my dad tried to name me after him. So I do say that sometimes.
Okay.
Because I do think that that's me not knowing exactly. That's what I think his mindset was. So anyway, let's move on from that. So anyway, let's talk about marriage a little bit. You ready?
Yes.
So last episode, we talked about marital problems and things that you might encounter. So I just wanted to talk this week or this episode, I wanted to talk more about in the marital stages, like the different things that you can go through. So let me tell you what made this come up for me. And I thought it was a good thing for us to kind of tackle. For me, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I love Neal so much with my whole body and soul, from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. Like sometimes that's what I think. Do you know that?
No. Yes.
Wait a minute, let me get. Do you know that?
Yes.
So sometimes I'm just so in love with you. And then there's some days where I'll be like, if he look at me or even say something, like it's love and hate must really be closely matched, because sometimes I love you so much and sometimes I have these little moments where I'll be like, oh my God, if he would just, because you do these little things, and I'm sure I do little things to you, but you do these little things where I'm like, oh my God, if he, and it's like, like you just said, you just reminded me of it when you just said what you said. See, it's been 30 years and I'm still learning. But sometimes you be still learning the little stuff. And I need you to not be so learning the little stuff. Would you agree?
Yes.
You
I would agree.
know what you're saying yes to.
You would agree that I need to learn the little stuff that I may have forgotten about you.
Oh, you forgot. Okay. That's a good one. That was a good save. So you know the stuff, but you may have forgotten. If y'all don't know, Neal, like how me and the girls always say, we have gold medals in jumping to conclusions. Neal has a gold medal in saves because he loves to save himself. So it's just interesting to me how we've been together all these years. So married 28 for people, if you haven't listened to the other episodes, but I'm sure you're going to go back and listen because I say this all the time. We've been married 28 years and we've been together over 30 something. I don't know the math anymore. I can't even add it up anymore, but over 30 something years. Right. So, and you would think people listening who are newly married are probably thinking, well, they should know everything. Guess what? You don't. Right.
Yes.
You just don't know everything. You think you do. And then something new comes up. It's crazy. It's like ever evolving if you're lucky, because that's another thing. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about evolving a little bit. So throughout our marriage, I think we've done a good job of staying on similar pages. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. Yeah.
And do you know what I'm saying when I say similar pages?
So when it comes to like finances and...
No, not even that. I'm saying just, so you know how I went to school about a year ago, right?
Yes.
So I was learning, I was evolving in that area. I've started the podcast, I'm learning and I'm evolving in that area. But one thing about you is you allow, I hate to say allow, but I guess that's the best word. You allow me to explore all these things, right?
Yeah.
Where some men are like, some partners, I ain't going to say men or women, I'm going to say some partners are not always open to that evolvement. Some partners would shut it down. Like when I came to you and said I wanted to do the podcast, you didn't shut it down. You supported it. So I'm saying you do a good job of supporting my evolvement.
Well, yeah, because I saw the twinkle in your eye when you talked about it.
Look at that. He saw the twinkle in my eye, y'all. Did y'all hear that?
I saw the excitement, when you talked about it. So
it makes you happy to make me happy?
Yeah.
But not everybody is like that. And so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes as you are going through your journey in life, you are walking down your pathway and you think that the way you think is the way a lot of other people think. And it's not so, because I've run into people, and I'm sure you have too, where they'll talk, my wife wanted to do this or my husband wanted to do that. And I was like, you ain't doing that. I mean, it happens every day, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I've never had that struggle with you. A lot of the times when I say I want to do something, you support it. Now, to be fair, if you say you don't support it, if you say no, Turra, I don't think it's a good time or whatever, because that's what you'll do sometimes. You never tell me no. I don't think you've ever told me no. If you have, I can't remember. I must have blacked it out. It was a trauma. But you don't usually say no. And if you do say, let's put it off for later, then I'll just come back to you a little bit sooner than later, and I'll just kick it a different way. And does that make you know that I want it or want that thing?
Yeah.
When I revisit it again and again?
Yeah.
So is there anything that I've ever asked you for that you've been like, no, Turra, you're just not going to get that?
So there is just one brand, the type of car that you like that I just can't get behind. I don't think I like them enough just to own.
Why do you have to be behind it if it's my car?
Because it's our car.
But you never drive my car.
That is true. But I do drive it when we are together, and you
but
not happy when I drive it.
My car has my license plate on it. It's not even, it's mine. I just, what, every time this comes up for us, it's always a point of, I guess, even if you don't give me the okay, Neal, please know. Listen to me. Please know that if I really, really, really wanted the vehicle, I would really, really, really go get the vehicle.
So,
and I think you know that. But I would respect your wishes. But at the same time, you haven't given me a good enough argument as to why I can't get the vehicle. It's just like, because you don't like the company, I don't get to get it. That's not good enough for me. So I'm sorry. But I don't even want that car anymore anyway. So we don't even got to go deep into it. I'm just letting you know, if I really, really wanted the car, this is on record, I would go get the car because that's why I work every day.
You're right. It's on record.
It's on record.
It's on record.
What's on record? Because I feel like you recording something different.
I am.
What are you recording? What are you recording?
I go to work every day too vehicle.
Oh, he's trying to get. So Neal, let me tell y'all something. Neal is one of the pettiest. He undercover petty. So to look at him and to spend time with him, you wouldn't know that he's super petty. But he is very petty. Like, he's bringing up this vehicle thing, and then there's a vehicle that he wants, that he brought up that he wants, and I kind of was doing it out of spite and being petty towards him, and I said, we're not getting that, because he tells me I can't get the vehicle that I'm looking at. And I'm like, Neal, you not gonna get that if I can't get what I want. And so now he's trying. That's where that conversation coming from.
But I'm talking about the 2-wheel vehicle.
Oh, but last episode you said you was over it.
I am.
Okay, well then don't bring it up. If you over it, then you don't bring it up. Don't bring up that motorcycle. Anyway, we need you here. That's why I don't want you to get the motorcycle. That's too dangerous, especially in Vegas. Come on, nah. It is. Them streets is dangerous for us in cars. Are you kidding me? No. So anyway, so I just wanted to know that, because it's interesting to me. In my mind, you don't say no to me a lot. In your mind, do you think you say no to me a lot? Do you shut me down a lot?
No.
Yeah, because I just got that personality, don't I? Or no? Do I got that personality that I fight for what I want? I have that personality where if you say no, you choose your battles, right?
Yes.
So how do you choose your battles, Neal?
I decide if it's worth arguing over. Choose your battles and go to war.
So let's talk about it a little bit. So I recently was visiting a newer married couple. And it was funny because I can't even remember how we started talking about it, but we started talking about money. And so money is different. I think money in marriages comes up at different levels for different people, right? I always assume that people in their early marriage are on the struggle bus. But I recently had an epiphany about that I think maybe it's the timing of when you get married, because there's people that get married in their 20s, and that's a little bit different than when you get married in your 30s or 40s and you got your career going and you're, just making life happen. So I just remember when we first got married, we was on the struggle bus.
Yes.
Weren't we? I mean, I just remember that. But one of the things that I love, and I look back sometimes, I don't know if you look back at it sometimes, but I look back sometimes and I'm thinking, I remember being in those moments of the money, just not being as I wanted it to be, not having all the things that I wanted. I remember those days. And I remember in my mind, thinking it was going to always be that way. And I don't know why I thought like that. Like, as much grind and hustle as we have, for some reason, I was like, yeah, this is kind of crazy, but I was thinking it was just going to always be that way. And then when I look at us now and then I look back and I'm like, gosh, if somebody would have told my younger self what this self knows, man, I would have did stuff so different, because there were so many decisions that I made that were based upon the financial stability or instability that we had at that time. Like how we talked about it in the first episode when I first met you. You were working at the cleaners.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a customer service job, and we just weren't making a lot of money. And we had a baby right away. And so the more mouths you have in the house to feed, the more money you need. So it just was, escalating. And so I just think, if there's any young couples out there listening that are thinking, oh my goodness, like the struggle is so real. Listen, if your hustle is good, if you grind like you're supposed to, or I ain't gonna even say supposed to, if your hustle is good and you grind really, really hard, those days will not live for very long. Because I remember us going grocery shopping in our parents. We would go over our parents' house. So we used to live in the suburb. When we lived in Michigan, we first got married. We lived in the suburb of Detroit, and our parents lived in Detroit. So we would go, because we would drop the kids off to Neal's mom, and we would pick them up. So when we would pick the kids up, we would go to his mom. Of course, his mom was keeping them. So we would go in her refrigerator, find something there, get some meat, and then go to my mom and get some and we would, survive like that, because stuff was really, really hard. Like, when people look at us and what we're doing now, it was different. It was very different. So for the newer couples out there, I would not change a thing, is what I guess I'm trying to get to, because we knew the financial condition that we were in when we got engaged and got married, but we didn't let that stop us. And I think a lot of people let that stop them. Like, I think a lot of people say, I want to get married, but we don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I always tell people who tell me that? The money will come. Just because, like, our pastor that performed our ceremony said, I never forget this. I don't know if you remember it, but the pastor, we had to go through marital counseling. And I remember him saying, God loves marriage. Like, he really loves marriage and the joining of the marriage. And he was like, marriage, when you are married or when you become married, that is a blessing in itself, and you will be blessed. And I just remember him speaking those blessings over our marriage, right? And I will, as I think back, we have always been blessed. Like, we've always had great things happen to us. Great things have always come to us. Like, just moving to Vegas was a great opportunity for us, and I've never looked back on that.
No, I haven't. I think it was.
You think it was a good move?
It was a good move. Yeah.
The kids think it was a great move. They don't know what would have happened to them if they had grew up in Michigan. And I'm like, you would have been the same person. They were like, no, we don't think so. That's just because they never grew up there. I grew up in Michigan, and I am a fabulous person, so I don't know why they think that. But anyway, I just remember us going through that counseling. I remember us being told that, and the pastor that married us, he just was that was so important to him, and he was very intentional about how he spoke into. Even at the wedding ceremony, he was very intentional as to how he spoke into us and what he wanted us to do, how he wanted us to join and things like that. So it was like work we had to do.
I remember the talk I remember the
husband and wife talking to us, right?
Yeah, about you being who you are and me being quiet. It's a good match for some people.
I mean, it's a good match for me some days. Like, some days I want a little more from you, but I just accept you as you are. I just know if I come to you and ask you a question, you're going to answer it. It may not even be the way I want you to answer it, but you're going to answer it. I thoroughly believe it would not work for us if you talked more because of the way that I talk.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Do you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that makes us tick, is that I know how to step up and take the lead when I need to. And we were talking about this on one of the other shows with me and the girls, is I don't mind taking the lead. And do you mind me taking the lead? Now that you're here, I can ask you.
No.
Do you mind me taking the lead?
No.
Yeah, you kind of like it, don't you? I think you like it.
I like to stand in the back and say, okay, let me support you.
Oh, okay.
And, if you need me to, I can set you aside and step up. But for the most part, I like.
Right. That's what Chelsi said. That is so funny that you said that, because very similar to what you just said is what Chelsi said on our Coachable episode, that she said she knows how to be a leader, but she would rather be in the background. But if you need her to step up, she will step up. So is that how you kind of see yourself as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see that. And don't get it twisted, because there's a lot of things that you do take the lead on where I'm just like, okay, Neal, you got this. Like, I'm going to give you an example, and you probably don't even know this. So recently I flew by myself. I've been flying by myself a little bit, quite a bit lately. And so when we go out of town, so I'm going to use the New York trip. Me and the girls went to New York. Okay. You didn't go. And so because I've been traveling with you so much, I'm just used to you doing a certain thing because you're such the gentleman that I don't get my luggage. It's I don't get my luggage. I don't have to worry about my luggage. Like a lot of times if we go to the airport, I'm checking in my luggage, don't get that wrong. But like on the turnstile, you're getting it. You're going to carry, you're going to carry it to the vehicle or whatever. It's just certain things. And I don't even know if you realize it. It's just certain things that you're quiet with it and you just do it. Because even when when we went to New York, the girls was like, where's Daddy? We need him to get our stuff. We were all missing you because we were like, Daddy's not here to get our stuff. And another thing about you that people don't probably see when they see you is that your mind, it works in a different way. So it takes me a lot of hits to get something done. So I got to think about it. Then I got to think about it again. Then I got to think about it again. So if I'm loading the suitcases in the trunk, I'm probably going to have to load them and unload them probably 3 times because my brain doesn't think like that. Like I'll probably just throw them in there and then they don't fit. But you will, before we even get to that point, you going to know that one suitcase got to go to the left, one suitcase got to go to the right, one suitcase got to go this way. Like you be just knowing it, and I sound so excited about it because it excites me because it's not everybody has that, right?
Right.
Not everybody will just know that you going to make it. Like you play Tetris, suitcase Tetris. And sometimes we don't have the room. But you made that stuff fit, and I'll be like, because if it was me, I'd be like, we got to take 2 cars. That would be my solution. So we really work together in that way, and I'm glad we're talking about this because it kind of, when I'm sitting thinking about us, because I do that, when I'm sitting thinking about us, the way I think about us is, what do I bring to you, and what do you bring to me? And sometimes because you're so quiet with the things that you do, I don't always pinpoint them, if that makes sense. Sometimes, like what I just was saying about how you take over at the airport, how you pack those bags. It's so many other things, too, that I could mention. But I just, in my quiet time, I'm always thinking, and I compare you to me. Like Neal doesn't do what I do, Okay. So I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, right? And then but now it just hit me that your stuff is silent. That's why it doesn't always come to me right away as to how you make your moves and how you lead our family. But we love you to lead us. Anyway, so that brings me to the next point. The next point is, because we talked about the financial struggles, because those can be the struggles. What else is a struggle? Sometimes when you got them little kids, would you say? Like when you're okay, so you come from a house, I come from a house, right?
Yeah.
We just talked about it a little bit before the show. I come from a house, we debate everything. You bring up a subject, I'm going to debate my opinion. My brother's going to debate his. My other brother's going to debate. We just debate back and forth. But when I was talking to you, you were saying that that's not a thing.
No, it's not. So
it made me think how that can sometimes be a little bit of an issue when you're raising young children. Because you were raised, you did your eyes at me.
Yeah.
Because you were raised in one, I'm going to say nest, and I was raised in another nest. So now these 2 nests have come together and we got little eggs in our nest. Mm-hmm. And so who's right and who's wrong as to which way we parent? Have you ever thought of it like that?
I have not thought about it like that.
Yeah, because it didn't impact us that much. I don't think it impacted us that much. I think our nests were so similar that the little stuff that didn't match up, we made our own thing, right? Because when I think about, like, perfect example, there's people out there that can couples that can get together, have a child, and they are struggling with discipline the children. discipline, because you might have grew up in a house where they timed out, and I might have grew up in a house where they spanked that little rump. And you might have an opinion on spanking, and I might have an opinion on the timeout. And so it's almost like who gets the win in that situation. And you shouldn't even look at it as a win or loss. But how does that work, right? So you have to come to what you have to have in just about everything in the marriage: compromise, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think, did we ever have issues with the discipline? I think ours was more good cop, bad cop. I was always the bad cop because I was always the one with the mouth, with the discipline, with the spanking, right?
Yes.
And then you were the one that was what? What do you think your style was? Like, because sometimes they were really in trouble. Like, they did things that made both of us not right.
Well, Ariel, I can't remember her doing anything because of the angel she is.
Please do not paint that girl as an angel, because she be doing stuff. Ariel, just like you, she quiet with her.
Yeah.
Chelsea be like me. She gonna tell it.
Yeah.
So you can't remember catching Ariel?
Correct.
Uh-huh. That's what's wrong with her, because everybody always thinking that what you just called her. And she ain't. She good. Mm-hmm. She ain't that good. She do her thing. But anyway, I'm just saying, so for instance, Chelsi, because we always talk about on the other show, Chelsi got in trouble a lot.
Yes.
A lot. Like, even it was things that she did with you that you were like, I didn't even get into it because it was you and her. But I'm saying, what made you choose to discipline the way that you discipline, which was more of a, I think it was more of a talking to, or I don't even know. What did you do? I don't know. How do you discipline?
Well, because they are female, mm-hmm. I never wanted to hit them.
Well, yeah, I would never let you put your hands on, because your hands are heavy.
So, but if they were, if I had my son or a boy,
let me hear what you think you would do.
Yes, I could say punch him in the chest.
You would not be punching my baby in his chest? Yes. No, you would not?
Yes.
No, you would not?
Yes.
No.
Punch him in
He
the
would
chest.
be up under his mama all the time. That's why we had no boys. That's why it didn't happen.
Right.
Because you see, we would have been, but this is what I'm talking about. That would have been the mismatch. Because see how you're saying one thing, I'm saying another. That's what I'm talking about. We didn't happen to have the mismatch because they were girls.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for
I'm
the girls,
saying, how did you discipline? What did you do?
Sending them to their room. I do remember sending them to their room.
And that would be their punishment?
That would be the punishment.
You banish them to their dungeons. Yeah. And so that's the thing. Ariel and Chelsi are so light with their feelings. They're very sensitive. Don't tell them, y'all, but they can be sensitive. So Ariel and Chelsi have a way about them where if you just say something in a tone, they knew they were in trouble. They knew they were in trouble when they did the thing. But then you could speak to them in a certain tone, and you didn't have to do nothing but speak to them in that certain tone, and they would be like, oh, man, they're mad at me. They used to get all upset. So we didn't have that issue, but there are couples out there that probably have that issue. And so the thing that I wanted to give those couples that have younger children and maybe struggling with this particular area of discipline in different ways is making sure that you guys are having the conversations outside of the children, because the children should not hear the conversations. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
It should be you and your mate having the conversations and coming to, if it has to be a compromise or some type of agreement, and basically sticking to that, because the kids are like dogs in this sense that they can smell the separation and they smell the division. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So, because Chelsi and Ariel used to try to get us this way sometimes, where I would say no, and then they would come to you.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you would get in trouble. A lot of times you would get in trouble because I'd be like, Neal, now we said no, we weren't going to do it. And now you just went above and beyond and went above my head and did it. And then sometimes you would say, well, I didn't know. But that is not an excuse that you didn't know, because what should have happened is you should have checked with me. So we had that come up a couple of times, and then you got the point and you started calling me and checking, and then we would have the talk. And sometimes I would say, my no would hold, and sometimes your yes would hold. It's going to be a compromise. If anybody's out there listening and thinking it's not going to be a compromise, then you might as well just let it go right now, because it's going to be a compromise. No one person is going to win, and that's how you get your groove in your parenting style. What is our parenting style? Like some people are really lucky because they get the ones where you really in sync, but sometimes you get those ones that are not so in sync, and that's where you struggle, when you're not that in sync. So young couples out there with the young children, that's what you do. You know what was really cool that we used to do, that I used to love, is when the kids were younger, because when the kids are younger, everything is about the kids, I feel like. Did you feel like that?
Yeah.
Like we got to take them here. We got to do this. We got to do that. So every conversation starts to be about the kids, right? But one of the greatest things that we used to do is we used to make sure we had lunch at least once or twice a week when we were working.
Yeah.
We would meet up for lunch, and that would be our time. Like, I always thought that time was so special because we didn't talk about the kids. We talked about us, things that were going on in our lives. So that was our little special time to talk about us. And I think, and one of the reasons why I always wanted to do that, why I always encouraged us to do it, was because I saw so many couples that had children that the only thing they had in common was the children. And I didn't want us to be that way. I wanted us to, even after the kids were gone, because some people, I've seen people where the kids got grown and they broke up because they didn't have anything to talk about, or they didn't work on their, they didn't work on the coupleship. They worked on the mom and dad ship, parentship, but they didn't work on the coupleship. So now you got this person sitting in front of you, because guess what? All of these stages that you go through in marriage, there's something. Like, there's that beginning stage where you're learning each other, you're learning the kids. There's that middle stage where the kids are getting older, right? Kids getting older. You're going through your changes. I'm going through my changes. And that's a little bit of a tough time because you're like trying to still figure it out. And then you get this part where they're grown. They can be gone or grown and still there. But even though the kids are grown and still in our house, it's still a different dynamic. When you say, like, we have to be intentional about conversating with each other, spending time with each other. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
We have to be intentional because we've said this before. Neal and I don't do everything together, but we've got to put a little disclaimer on that. We've been doing a lot of stuff together. You're starting to be my best friend. And Neal knows I hate that. It's no shade to anybody, but I have an issue when people call their husband or their wife their best friend. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not that he can't be the best friend of your life, but he already has a title. She already has a title. Have you ever thought of it like that? I don't need you to be my best friend because you're my husband. Mm-hmm. You're already the best of the best, right? You're the best man that I found, that I accepted your proposal and I've gone through life with you.
Yes.
I am your wife. I already have the title. I don't have to be your best friend. I don't. I do not have to have that title. So when I see people be like, oh, my husband, my best friend, I get it. I get what they're saying. It doesn't fly past me. But at the same time, you already have a title. And guess what? I need a best friend, and so do you. You need something outside of me. I need something outside of you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
I would agree with that. Yeah.
You have to have, like, to say we were best friends and do everything together. Like, those couples that can do that, God bless them. I can't. I have to have something outside of you. And I want you to have something outside of me, because that gives us a dynamic where we can go do other activities and come back together and talk about those and have fun in those. If we did everything together, what would we talk about? Nothing?
Everything we did together.
Why would we need to talk? It's funny. So think about it. Think about it. I always think about it like this. Think about this. When we go out of town and we're together for like 5 days. Because think about it. When you're out of town, you're in your room. You're in the hotel room together for 5 days. And so the first couple of days you talking, you like, yeah, you got all the stories. But even me, by that third day, we going to breakfast like this. The crickets come, don't they?
Yeah.
Because we've been together all the days. There's no stories to tell you. What am I going to tell you about?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I equate that to. If I spent every minute with you, like up under you, it would be like when we go out of town for 5 days, like, and I still love you. I'm still with you. I'm still partnered up with you. But that fourth and fifth day, I'll be like so ready to come home so I can separate. I'll be ready to separate. So those are the things. Those are the things that we feel that we can give to different stages of marriage. I asked people this before, and I'm going to ask them again. If there's any question or any topic that you would like for us to tackle, if you want us to speak about a specific thing on marriage, feel free to hit us up in our DMs on Instagram. And when you send us those questions, we'll address them on air to the best of our ability as to how we would handle something, just to help keep the series going. I think there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of excitement around this series. There's a lot of buzz around it. Like, people have been coming to me like, oh my God, I think it's going to be so juicy. I can't wait. Well, it's not going to be that juicy because we're kind of boring. Like,
I would say I am boring.
Neal, you're not boring. You are the most complicated individual I ever met. Yeah, you are. You don't think so?
I don't.
You're very unique.
Me being unique is not exciting.
No, you being unique is exciting. What? Neal, I'm not saying you skydiving or something. What do you call exciting?
Skydiving.
Like, you keep me on my toes. You're not boring.
Driving.
No, that's adrenaline pumping things. I'm saying exciting. Exciting is us taking trips, us doing the things that we do, us giggling from time to time, even though you don't think I'm funny, which I think is funny. So, fun fact, I got to spill these beans. Neal will get on the phone with other people. I don't even know who these people are. Like, it'll just be people. And the whole conversation, I will hear, let me see if this works. That's Neal, the whole conversation. I am the funniest person I think I know. There's not a person that I haven't made laugh before. I've even made y'all laugh on them episodes. I know I have. Neal never laughs at me. He does not think that I am funny at all. Why is that? I think we have different types of sense of humor. Is that it?
Yes.
Because Neal likes to. So if you trip and fall.
Yeah, laugh.
Neal, who is he? You saying he. You talking to yourself in the third person?
I will laugh.
Yeah. Like that show. Remember you used to love that show, Wildin' Out? No, it's not Wildin' Out. What was it called where they used to do those challenges? Wipeout? I think it was called Wipeout.
Yeah.
Used to love that show, and you and the kids would just laugh and laugh. And I used to be like, this show is not funny. Like, it's not funny to me for people to be falling. Used to think every time they fell in that water, used to go crazy.
Yeah, because they're trying something and they failed at it.
So you laughing at people's failure? You are so dark and twisted. Did you know?
No.
That's what I would have said too. Neal, you are so dark and twisted. Like, when you do say stuff, I'll be like, what? Where did that come from? What happened? So anyway, so Neal doesn't think that I'm funny. I think I'm hilarious, and that's where we're going to keep it. But I will say this. I want to say it again. If you guys have a question, topic you want us to address in this Love and Marriage series, by all means, let us know. Send us a note. Instagram, Facebook, you can DM us. We take all messages any kind of way you want to do it. So that is going to wrap up our show today. Neal, did you have any more words for the people?
No, I don't.
Nothing. You ain't got no tips for the folks, for the newly married or the middle marriages or the old people that's married? Just let your wife do whatever she want to do. That's what I say. Let me see if I can act like I'm your voice. Just let your wife, if I was you, I would just let your wife do whatever. What? Wait, you making me laugh. Stop. If I was you, I would let my wife do whatever she want to do whenever she want to, and let her get the car that she want to get whenever she want to get a new car.
Psych.
That was my imitation of Neal. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you listening. Feel free to follow us on our socials and make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel, Turra and Company. Thank you, and we will see you on the next episode.
And we're out.
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We look forward to you joining us on the next episode. Until then, be inspired and enlightened.